thought I would do a Christmas video on the will of Christ. All things are in the will of Christ and the will of Christ. This is a fundamental scientific truth. If you observe will, you'll notice everything that I'm saying is true. You can actually observe this, but you have to observe will, right? And I'll say that, you know, everybody's observing will, or you would not respond to will. In some ways, you are somehow feeling will, and so will is the volition, the pressure of choosing, the impetus of mind to do something, right? That's will. And so anytime that you want to do something or choose to do something or have an impulse to do something, that's will. And so if you weren't perceiving it, if the energy of will wasn't impacting your body in some way, you wouldn't have any response to will. It would be invisible. So everybody can see will. And so if you look at will, you'll see that it's kind of like the will of God is like a vast ocean, and it's flowing in a particular direction, like a river or whatever. And then human will is like a vortice or a whirlpool in the will of God. And so the whole world is a vortice in the will of God. And in some sense you could say, oh look, that vortice, that impulse right there is in opposition to the overall current. Like the will at large would be the will of God, and then if individual will is a swirling or a whirling, right? And so that's the day-night cycle, the rotation of the stars and the earth, and everything is whirling. And that creates the world, and within that whirling of the whole planet, there's like a whirling of you, which is like your blood. So the larger whirling of the world is the natural will. Then that larger world is within the cosmic will, and then within the natural will, which is the seasons and the day-night cycle and that rotation, is the human will. Like the will of humanity, the will of the species, and then within that will is maybe an individual will. And within the individual will would be maybe like the circulatory system or the lymph system, or rhythms and the cycles of the brain, right? So within these wills, within this, it's kind of a fractal. You'd have wills that look like they're going against the will of God, even though it's all the same fluid, it's all the same will, it's all the same substance. And then the creation is the central point of that will. You could say, oh, the will is swirling. Well, whose will is it? Who is it that's like, there's a will there that's separate from the will of God. The will of God would be that undifferentiated current, everything moving together for one purpose. And you would view that as like a river, the whole river going towards one purpose. And then when a being is created in that river, there's a swirling. And so that swirling goes against the overall pattern. And so that's the will of the being that's separate from God. But if you look at it, where is the whirlpool separate? Right? At no point in this fractal area can you say like, oh, there's the will of God, it's the river, but it's not the eddies, it's not the whirlpool, it's not the bubbles. And so when you actually look at will as a physical construct rather than just being moved by it or whatever, or moving it, going with it or fighting against it, you see it as a substance, as a being, as a reality. And there's only one reality, there's only one water, And then with it was wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels. Get out of the way, goat. I'm trying to back up here. I'm gonna run over this goat. Get out of here. Whoa. So many sheep.